to get to work this weekend. All right, so we are in the birthday series card class. Today we are featuring flowing flowers and dies from the Hippo and Friends dies. As I mentioned earlier, flowing flowers is a very pretty set. It is in the January to June mini catalog, and you can see it here on page 36. So really pretty flowers, and again, I love the stamp sets that have a nice greeting with them. So we've got different fonts going on, different greetings. So we have just a note, I like you, time for a happy dance, thank you, happy birthday, one of my favorites, sending a card instead of a text, love that. And we have these pretty blooms too. So it's a very pretty set. I hope you like what I've done with it. I am also going to be featuring the Marvelous paper that is in the Sale-a-bration catalog on page 10. So with every $50 order you place, you get to pick a freebie from the Sale-a-bration catalog. And today we are using this super cool paper called Simply Marvelous. So let me show you some more of what we've got going on. Here's my color scheme. We've got some pretty white, gorgeous grape, Highland heather. We're using up that beautiful paper called Marvelous, Simply Marvelous. And I told you today we are working in purple, one of my favorite colors. And this is the Simply Marvelous paper. I think we get about 6 sheets of each color. This is the one I'm picking on today. And what's super cool about this paper too, the flip side has a very marbly paper as well, or marbly feel to it as well. So lots of pretty colors. That texture in the paper will be a beautiful background for lots of different projects. We've even got a neutral in there. So those are our papers we're using. Here are our colors, our ink colors I'm going to be using. So I've got Gorgeous Grape, Highland Heather, Granny Apple Green, and Daffodil Delight. So some nice bright colors. These are really cheery cards. And I'm going to be calling out the measurements as we go along so you can create along with me. And I've got projects that can be accomplished by beginning stampers and experienced stampers. So I've got different levels of skills in each card. I am going to do a little bit of embossing. So hopefully you are familiar with one of the embossing machines or cutting machines. All right, so if you're just joining me, this is the birthday card series. This is episode 3. Today we're creating birthday cards using the loaner stamp set called Flowing Flowers. And these I think are nice, vibrant cards. Very simple. So here's card number 1, very simple with happy birthday. And I'm using two different blossoms from the stamp set. I'm also going to be using the embossing folder that is in the, let's see, there's my stamp set. Here's my embossing folder. This is a partner in the January to June mini catalog. And I say it's a partner because it comes in a set of 2 embossing folders called Stripes and Splatters. I am using the Splatter embossing folder today. I'm also going to be using the Subtle embossing folder, which is from the annual catalog. So those are the other tools I'm going to be using. And I mentioned the dies. I'll show those to you as we get working along here. So there's my stamp set. It's a nice red rubber stamp set. So we're going to get some nice inky impressions. Okay, my friends, so card number 1, here are the materials we need. We need a half sheet of Highland Heather. We need a 4.5 by 3.25 piece of the Simply Marvelous paper. I'm using the purple or the Gorgeous Grape. And we need a piece of basic white that's also 3.25 by 4.5. We need a little strip of Highland Heather just for a greeting. It's about 5/8 by maybe 3 inches. And I have a scrap of basic white. So it's a pretty simple card. I've got a little bit of ribbon on there that I'll share with you as I get to that point. So it's a standard card size. I'm going to take my bone folder. You know, this is one of my essential tools. It helps create that nice crisp fold. I pre-scored it. I just folded it right down the 4 1/4 inch mark. And I'm going to go ahead and eliminate some of these papers so that I don't lose them. Sometimes I have a little trouble keeping track of all my supplies. And I am bringing in my silicone mat. I'm going to be applying a little bit of Stampin Seal to the back of this paper. This is from Sale-a-bration, beautiful paper in lots of different colors. It's sort of like the same pattern. You've got 2 sides of marble, and I'm just going to put it onto my card base at an angle. So I'm hoping it peeks out enough so that it shows off when I have my next layer. Well, hello, Debbie Jarigi. Happy weekend. Let's get the weekend started. It's going to be a crafty weekend. I've got 2 things going on. I've got my beautiful team meeting, which we have every month, the highlight of the month. And we also have one of the funnest events. I offer the Stampin' Bingo. So we are going to be having lots of crafty fun this weekend. All right, I need to do some stamping, so I'm going to put this aside, and I'm going to bring in a piece of 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. Yes, Debbie's going to be here for both events. Debbie's on my team, and she is one of the bingo players for the weekend. So, all right, we are going to be stamping up that nice big blossom that is in the Flowing Flower stamp set. My first one's going to be in Daffodil Delight. And I'm just going to apply lots of ink on here. And I'm going to stamp down onto my 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. And it's kind of high on the paper, probably about 3/4 of an inch down from the top. I'm going to stamp up, pressing down firmly. Nice inking there. And I'm also going to add the second flower, which is a smaller bloom, and it has some nice leaves and some splatter on it in Granny Apple Green. So nice bright green. And, let's see. I neglected to get my scrap paper. Let's get some. And I'm just going to place that right underneath my basic white because some of this inking might be going off the paper. So I'm going to ink up, and I'm going to, not to worry, this is not going to be showing through. This is going to be layered up a little, but I do want to eliminate some of that. So let's see if I can do this. I'm going to continue to put another piece of scrap. I just want to cover up some of this. I don't want all of this flowing through. So what I'm doing is getting some of the splatter and leaves in green. And we're going to be stamping. See, there we go. I just want the splatter, the leaves, and splatter on the other side. No need to worry about that other image part. It's going to be covered up. So what I'm going to do next is, first of all, clean my stamp. I'm just bringing in the chamois. Absolutely, Barbara. We should have a few attendees on Zoom this Saturday. I've got, somehow our team is getting scattered. So now we have someone in Texas, someone in Arizona who's temporarily living, I think, in Washington. We have someone in Idaho. Oh my gosh, I can't keep track. And somebody not local, still California, but she's over in Orange County, so she'll be on Zoom as well. So I'm really looking forward to that. We're getting more and more team members scattered about. It's kind of nice and exciting. All right, I'm going to do a second inking of a flower. This time I'm going to go for that little blossom that's on this stamp. I don't need the leaves and I don't need the splatter. I'm going to ink up. I want that blossom, and I'm inking up in the Daffodil Delight. And this is probably the easiest card. in today's class. And let's see, I'm going to have to be cleaning my stamps because I am going to be reusing them. And there is, oh my gosh, I'm going to say the word, there is some fussy cutting going on. Of course, I will be sending you a Zoom link, my friend Barb. It's on my list to do, and I thought I was going to do it earlier, but my phone app was acting up, so I wasn't able to get it accomplished. But yes, I will be sending that out tonight at some point. I have lots to do tonight. Actually, so one of the great events of being on the team, well, one, it's the monthly meeting, but one of the fun things we do too is swap. And so every month we get to opt in on the swap of the month that's done by the entire or it's offered to the entire team. You don't have to join if you don't want to, but I never want to miss out because these swaps are always just beautiful. We have a diverse style of stampers on our team, and so I love seeing all the different designs that our stampers create. So usually when I opt in, I am making my swaps the night before the meeting and the wee hours of the morning, and I'm pretty proud of myself. My swaps are actually done. I haven't put them in their little envelopes yet, but they are done, so I won't have to be doing that tonight. But I do have other things to do to get ready for tomorrow's meeting. Part of our meeting also includes a fun class. We have a little make and take class that team members can either offer their customers or just create to use for their own card stash. All right, so all I did was fussy cut that little flower. You see, it didn't take long. The next thing I'm going to do is emboss this. I'm going to add some texture here, and I'm going to bring in that splatter embossing folder. I am going to be embossing both pieces, so I need to make a little way here. Let's see if I can move my ink pads out of the way so I don't get inky. And I'm bringing in the Big Shot. This probably would fit through the mini. I just wasn't prepared with the mini today. I've got so much going on the craft table. So I'm going to insert this into the splatter folder. And the impression I'm going to get is just that. It's just splatter, but it's a very cool splatter. I have my multi-purpose platform on here, and I need a cutting pad on top. So I'm going to run that through. And I love the texture. Not sure if you're going to be able to see on camera. Oh yeah, you can. Isn't that cool? I love it. So I'm doing that, and you have the textures in the flowers like you would in a real flower. I'm also going to do it onto the fussy cut flower. So just going to insert and run it through real quick. Right through there. And you know, this card that we're creating, in fact, all the cards we're creating today would be beautiful in a variety of colors, not just purple. All right, so next, let's keep going. We are going to stamp our happy birthday greeting, and we're going to stamp in Gorgeous Grape. And we're stamping on a little scrap that's about 5/8 of an inch wide by about 4 inches. I'm going to be snipping it down. And I'm using the happy birthday sentiment that is in this stamp set. Oh, I almost stepped into the Granny Apple Green. I need to pay attention to what I'm doing so I don't mess up. All right, I'm just going to stamp right down. My head is right over, so hopefully I land in the right spot. Fairly good, okay. So there's my happy birthday sentiment. I am just going to snip this a tad at an angle, and also on the other side. So I've got my sentiment ready. The next thing I'm going to do is add that cool ribbon. So let's see where I've got the ribbon. This is from the January to June mini. It's called Frayed Ribbon. It's 3/4 of an inch wide. So to me, it's a very wide, kind of a heavy ribbon. So I'll tell you what I've done. First of all, I'm going to take, I'm not even measuring, I'm just going to do a back and forth pattern here so I can kind of guesstimate how much I need. And I'm going to trim down using my ribbon scissors. If only I could find the ribbon scissors. They were here. There we go. They're hiding. So what I'm going to do, snip my piece there. And I am actually going to half this. So I'm going to cut right around midpoint all the way down. So it's going to become more like a, oh, I don't know, maybe like a just over 1/4 of an inch wide. And I like it better, a little bit narrower. And it's still going to fray, which is really cool. You get those random threads that make it really soft and flowy. Kind of like the flowing flower stamp set. All right, so I've actually now have two snips of ribbon, and I'm going to save that other portion because I am going to be using it on another card. So what I'm going to do here, I am going to bring in my Stampin' Seal, and let's see. If I could tidy up here and find my Stampin' Seal, there we go. It's usually just, if I just put my hand down, it'll land right on there. What I'm going to do is come across and lay some seal down to help my ribbon stay in place. And I'm going to start off and just kind of wind it back and forth. So this will help it stick. Just like so. So easy. When I put a little bit of seal down, it behaves. And next what I'm going to do is place my cut flower right over top. I'm going to add some dimensionals, top and bottom. And I have a couple of bigger ones here. So let's see, right there. And then all the way to the bottom. Yeah, Sandy says my tip with the Stampin' Seal on the silicone mat has saved the day for me. Okay, so I told you I made a new friend once I started using the silicone mat here. Seal and I are friends. Here I was bad-mouthing Seal for months, right? I think I mentioned it once or twice we didn't get along, but oh, we're getting along just fine now. All right, so I'm going to wait on attaching this sentiment up. First, I'm going to put this onto my card base. Yes, and I do like the seal now, and I think I try to save my plus for the tougher jobs that need a little bit more aggressive action to stick. See how easy this is? This is so cool now. And I was using Seal Plus for every job. Unless I use my other favorite, of course. Okay, so now it seems a shame I'm going to cover up so much of that marble paper, but here we go. This is the layout. This is actually the layout challenge my team did for the second half of the month. And oh my gosh, the samplings that we got from this layout are just beautiful. It's a great layout for lots of different stamp sets, and it gets you started. Very basic, just the two rectangles, 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. And the next thing I'm going to do is add that sentiment, and I'm going to pop it up on one side with dimensionals and a little glue dot behind on the other side. So there. And I've got my take your pick tool here for help. I am going through a lot of glue dots lately, applying a lot of ribbon, which I love to tame with a glue dot. And goes down right there. Oops. So I'm going to reveal that and come in here. There's my sentiment, my happy birthday sentiment. I'm almost done. I'm going to add some pizzazz with my embellishments, and I'll share with you the embellishments I'm using. If you do decide to join the class and place your order, if your order is $50 or more, not only do you get your free Sale-a-bration item, which I would recommend the Simply Marvelous paper, but you'll also get a gift from me. I will send you a package of these 21, 23 in colored jewels. So look at all the pretty colors we have. The soft succulent, the fresh freesia, the, let's see, what is the evening evergreen, the bumblebee, and the, what's polish pink, is that right? There we go. So I'm going to be using the bumblebee colors here. Thank you, Donna. Today's cards are a little bit more elegant and a little bit more feminine, so get these set for all the girlfriends. That just reminded me, I have so many Valentines to make up for Galentine's Day. It's coming at me fast. And I'm just adding 3 kind of randomly. I placed one of the bigger ones down below on the right and a couple up splattered about by the flower. So you can see the sparkle on it. So really pretty flower. Of course, I would also, because this is a colored card base, I would also finish it off with a basic white inside so we can write our greeting. I'm not sure if I did that on this card. There you go. And look at the greeting that I put, sending a card instead of a text, because who saves text on the refrigerator, right? You need, it is a cute greeting, isn't it, Sandy? I love that. I'd rather get a card than a text. Text is nice, don't get me wrong, I'll take that, but a nice card that I can put on my mantle or on my desktop is perfect as well. So there's card number 1 in today's class. Let me just push that aside and get ready for card number 2. And so this one, I'm going to bring in, and I'm going to show you the finished project. So here it is, happy birthday. And on this one, I kind of created my own designer series paper with the stamps. So same color scheme, the Highland Heather, the Gorgeous Grape, the Granny Apple Green. I don't think I used Highland Heather on this one. And I used the same greeting on the inside. Let me share with you how I created that background. So what I'm going to need for this card, I am bringing in a card base that's Gorgeous Grape. And looks like I need to score that. It's 5.5 by 8.5. Thank you, Pam. I'm glad that you like that first card. Hopefully you like the other cards as well. So this one I need to score at 4.25. So I'm just going to lift that. I'm going to make sure I have my cutting blade out of the way because you know it's happened when I use the cutting blade instead of the scoring blade. Any tip I try to give to you, it's because I learned it the hard way. So I scored, I'm going to fold, and I'm going to continue on with our other supplies in just a second. Let me get this taken care of, out of the way. Okay, I'm also going to use 2 pieces of basic white, 5.25 by 4. So one is for the inside and one is for the outside. We're going to be matting our designer series paper on one, and the other one goes on the inside. I have another piece of basic white. This is what I'm going to stamp on. This one measures 5 by 3 3/4. That's what I'm going to create my designer series paper on. I also have a Gorgeous Grape scrap that's 1 inch by 5 inches wide, and I'll share with you what I'm doing with that as we go along. I have a scrap of that Simply Marvelous paper for the inside of the card. I've got a scrap of Granny Apple Green. I'm going to be including some foliage, so I have one more tool to share with you. And then I am using the labels that I have pre-cut from the Hippo, Hippo and Friends die set. I wanted to show you the entire set. What have I done with them? So Hippo and Friends is one of the best die sets I invested in. It actually belongs to a stamp set with unicorns and hippopotamuses, hippopotami, whatever they're called, and butterflies. And I don't know that I've ever actually used the hippo. I have used the unicorn. But look at these labels. These layers are awesome. I use them for lots of different things. So there's 3 different sets, and they have those graduated sizes. So super cool. And I get a lot of mileage out of my Hippo and Friends dies. So that's where I got these two, Basic White and Gorgeous Grape. We're going to use that on our sentiment. So let's get started creating this designer series paper. Very simple. We are going to start, and I've got my stamps handy here. Let me make sure that they're clean. I'm going to be stamping in Gorgeous Grape and Granny Apple Green. So just to make sure my stamps are clean, that I'm not mixing up the colors, because I just stamped in Daffodil Delight and I'm now going to be stamping in Gorgeous Grape. So I don't want to create a new color. And these are mounted on the bigger block. This is block E, it's a big stamp. I'm going to bring in the Gorgeous Grape and stamp a couple of times. So, like so. And this is totally random, so you don't have to do yours exactly the way I am doing mine. It just gives you an idea of how to spread your color around. And then one smaller one. This blossom is just huge, so pretty. All right, then I'm going to add some of the leaves and splatter using the Granny Apple Green. We did that earlier. And this is going to be coming in off the sides, so I don't need to worry too much about coming in with the green flower. You can see how I'm just alternating here. I just want to have it peeking from different parts. And let's see, right through here. So this Granny Apple Green, it looks like a bright green, but it's just what you need for this bold, Gorgeous Grape. So, anybody else like Gorgeous Grape or purple out there? What's your favorite color? When I think of purple, I think of this musician, this artist. You might have heard of him, Prince. And it's just a favorite. I love it. I love purple. It's a Viking color too, right? Okay, and just a little bit more peeking. And you notice how I'm not doing too much in the center, because the center is going to be blocked off anyway with our greeting and our layered hippo and friend dies. So that's my designer series paper. I'm going to leave that for just a second. Let's continue on with our stamping. Right in the center of our Basic White, we're going to stamp our Happy Birthday in Gorgeous Grape. And I'm just going to kind of center it, maybe a little bit higher. There we go. And I'm going to add a little bit of green splatter. Have it peeking right up here. Then I need the little trio of flowers, so I'm looking around for those. This is part of the same stamp set. We've got 3 of the little blossoms, and I'm going to be stamping on a scrap of Basic White. And, oh, I'm going to say it again. This is going to be fussy cut. So, and that's kind of like what happens when you have a stamp set that doesn't have a cutting tool with it, and you could get away with creating without fussy cutting and dies, but it just adds more interest and more detail to the cards. All right, here, and it doesn't take that long really. You see I'm turning the paper, and I'm able to actually talk and cut on this one. Thing I can craft along with as I'm watching TV is something super simple, like maybe applying dimensionals if I'm doing a mass production job, especially because right now I'm stuck on a series that has it's in, I don't want to say it's dual language, but a Spanish is spoken every once in a while because it's a series on the border. All right. So hopefully you're still with me. I know we had a little bit of a blackout there. That happens, but it's not me. Still here. There's my little fussy cut. Anyway, the only thing I can do when I'm watching TV is something super simple. Otherwise, I have to pay attention to one thing or the other, not both. Now, I'm going to be adding a little bit of granny apple green foliage here, and the way I got that on there, there is a new punch in the mini catalog. It is called, let's see, the bow punch. It actually has two little leaf branches, one smaller than the other, and I'm just going to use the bigger one. Of course, it's the one that's kind of down in the punch, and see how easy that is. Love punches. And so I get that little branch of green leaves and the smaller one that I'm going to be using on my card as well. Okay, so I've got my stamping done. The next thing I'm going to do is a little technique with, oh my goodness. Let's see, I'm going to bring in my cutting machine, and I'm looking around for my favorite. Right there, my little mini chopper. And let me get that granny apple green out of the way. And I'm going to bring back in my designer series paper, and I am going to be trimming this down. What we're going to do is create 4 panels of that designer series paper. And so these, the height measures, I believe, 3 3/4, and then each panel is going to be 1 1/8 inch wide. So thank you, Betty. I do like the colors. That bright granny apple green just goes beautifully with the gorgeous grape. So I'm going to bring in my chopper. I want the widths to be 1 1/8. That's going to give me enough space. And I'm just trying to make sure that it's even here. That's going to give me enough space to have a little bit of a gap between, like a little gutter between each layer. So I need 1 1/8, and I'm trying to do my math here. So that would be 1. There we go. So 1 1/8, and let's see, 2 1/8. And so I'm talking to myself as I go. So this one, the 8ths are a bit tricky. A lot of crafters try to craft without using the 8ths because it takes a little bit of thinking, right? So the 8th is this, it's the, not the shortest, the second shortest line on the trimmer. Alrighty. So the next step, now I've got my 4 panels, and you saw I do have an extra little scrap down the middle, so I'm not gonna use that. That's gonna be rubbish. I'm gonna bring back in that 4 by 5 1/4 basic white. These are going to be adhered to this layer, and there's gonna be a little bit of a gap in there, so you can see the continuation of that pattern there. And here we go, just like so. And there you go. That's what we're going to be creating. So I'm going to bring in my, let's see, as long as I haven't lost it yet, where is my, well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring in my favorite, the Tombow liquid adhesive, and who knows the reason this is my favorite. What's the starts with an F. All right. It's forgiving is why I love it. And it's been a few hours since I used it, so I might need to declog it. Just coming in with my little, I'm not sure if you can see that or not, just a little snot that forms there. And I usually have my little tack at the ready. And I love the Tombow liquid glue because it is forgiving. So in a situation like this, if I need to slightly tweak it, it's not fast drying, so I can still push it over and correct my what would the verb be? Adhering, okay. And I'm going to start at the 2 ends. And that's just so that, because I'm not measuring, I'm just eyeballing it. And I'm gonna make sure I have my 1/8 of an inch border, top and bottom, and right. So then the other 2, I'm just going to kind of space out evenly here. So there's my gap. And yikes, this is a little bit bigger gap. There we go. Just like so. So either adhesive would work, the seal or the Tombow, but the Tombow is going to be forgiving so that you can slide it over if it's not in the precise spot that you want. See how easy this goes. And I like the technique of spreading that back panel. It just breaks up the pattern a little bit. I think I used this one on my paper pumpkin alternate or bonus project earlier this week. So it's a great layout. All right, so I've got that taken care of. And this is going to be adhered to the card base with Stampin' Dimensionals. So I have a little bit of height on there. And I'm coming near, it seems like I'm always on the perimeter of my Stampin' Dimensionals. I must go through at least 3 of these packs every week. I love dimensionals. So luckily I have them on my shelf all the time, so never run out. All right, so on the back here, we are going to adhere with dimensionals, and just to elevate it a little bit. You could flat adhere it, it wouldn't be critical. I just like the look with a little bit of distance between the 2 layers. There we go. Pretty simple. And these cards would be pretty in Calypso Coral as well. What other colors would go pretty? The Blush Blossom would be pretty, really subtle. So lots of alternatives you could do. And then this just goes, I'm going to have about 1/8 of an inch border, top and bottom and sides. There we go. And you can see you're going to have 2 options. So on my model card, I'm using the Gorgeous Grape sheer ribbon, but I didn't have a lot of it, so I'm going to do a second option. I just took a strip of Gorgeous Grape 1 inch by 5 inches, and that's going to act as my band going across there. So either one would work. If you have the ribbon, it's pretty. If you don't, the cardstock works nicely to create your own ribbon. And we're just going to run that through. Just like so. Then this is going to be here. Where's my happy birthday? All right. Let's see what happened to the happy birthday sentiment. No. Oh. Why does this happen? Where did it go? Who knows? Let's create the inside while I'm working on finding my happy birthday sentiment. Let's see. This is going to go. This is just one of these scrap pieces. I'm going to place it at the bottom of my card here. So don't discard the little leftovers. They work nicely for the inside of the cards. All right. Somebody needs to hand over my sentiment. Where is it? It's not funny anymore. Where'd it go? Oh my goodness. Let's keep going. Let's adhere this to the center. Y'all saw me stamp it, right? It's got to be here someplace. All right, let's see. This one has about 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. Just like so. And let's see if I can think back. Where would it have gone? Alrighty, it looks like I'm going to have to come up with a second one. So thank goodness I have my dies here. And I'm going to bring back my label to trim it out again. Make sure I've got the right one here. Too small. Let's keep going. Next one. There we go. All right, so I need to create another label. And hopefully yep, it's the right size. I always have lots of scrap hanging around. I need to bring in my cutting machine and create a second label. And let's see. And voila, a second one. Which means I need to stamp again. And I need my happy birthday in Gorgeous Grape. So this is like a rerun. I just did this, I'm doing it again. There's my happy birthday, and I'm gonna bring back in my splatter and my leaf and stamp again. I have a feeling I might have thrown it away when I threw away the fussy cutting scrap. There we go. All right, so this gets flat adhered onto the Gorgeous Grape label, just like so. And gets centered right in through here. And I'm going to elevate this with dimensionals, top and bottom, and that looks a little bit wonky. There, you would not be able to tweak it if we had used Seal. So I'm gonna use that, and I need some dimensionals, top and bottom. And let's see. Oops, yikes. Just like so. And I'm going to bring that up centered. All right, so then this little twig is going to pop right in here. I'm going to kind of use that as a guide. I'm going to put a dimensional right behind that little flower there. And let's see if I have one handy here. Goes right there. It's going to hold that little leaf in place, and I'm just going to tuck a little bit of liquid glue right in here in the corner. I don't want to put another dimensional because this label is already popped up with a dimensional. There we go. All right, so next I'm going to, we're almost done. We need to add our pizzazz. So I'm going to bring in my 2123 in color jewels, bring my take your pick tool in, and I am going to add my pizzazz. I'm using the larger ones. Oops, there we go. And I see a little smudge there, so I'm going to put one there. And let's see, I'm going to bring one in over here as well. And I'm going to use a couple of the smaller ones. There we go. And then I'm going to bring one over to the little flowers there. And there you go. There's card number 2, happy birthday. There's my sample and the version with just the cardstock. So there you go. Another easy happy birthday card using the flowing flowers, and creating your own background. Then we just split the background with those 4 panels coming in. So there's card number 2. Let's go on to card number 3, which is another beauty, I think. This has a single blossom in it, and it's got some texturing as well. So let me share with you how we created this one. This one is thank you, Sandy. Sandy says it's beautiful. I like that. I appreciate that. Okay. The blues and purples, it is just beautiful colors. I'm not sure what kind of flower that is, but it does so nicely in our Gorgeous Grape. Our final card is on white cardstock, and it's one of my favorite card bases, the white, because it makes it really easy to write your message inside or stamp a little greeting in there too. So here's what we're using. We are going to be using basic white, so it's 5.5 by 8.5. We have a 5.5 by 4.25 inch piece of that Simply Marvelous paper. I have a layer of basic white that measures 3 3/4 by 5, so it comes right in here. And I've got a bigger scrap that we're going to stamp our blossom on. It's going to be fussy cut. And then I've got some of that leftover ribbon that we cut from our previous card. And I also have a little snip of Gorgeous Grape for this card as well. All right, so easy. We are going to do a little bit of texturing as well. So let's get started. We are going to create our card base. So I'm just going to fold that over. I think I pre-scored this, so it's going to fold easily. Thank you, Barb. She says she loves the cards. And another little trick. I noticed that this, I'm not sure if you can see it on camera. It's got a little bit of a jagged edge there. So what I like to do to finish that off, it means I was trying to cut too fast, but maybe didn't apply enough pressure. So what I do is just bring in my little sanding block. I'm not sure if you can hear that, and sand it down to eliminate those little frayed edges. So that gives it a nice, clean, polished look. Fold that down. We are going to adhere our Simply Marvelous paper on here, and I can do that. Let's see, I'm just going to use my liquid glue. It's at the ready right here. And I'm going to use not a lot. I don't want anything bleeding through, and I don't want to get sticky. And I'm using the subtle side. This paper has a bold side to it. Look at those swirls. And then it's got that marbly side as well, which to me reminds me more of the marble that you would put on your kitchen countertop. Maybe not this color, but the same effect. So that's going to get adhered there. And I'm going to double check to make sure I did a good job cutting. And actually I did pretty good. It's not peeking through. All right, so there's our card base. The next thing we're going to do is stamp on our basic white that measures 3 3/4 by 5. I'm going to come in with my smaller blossom trio and make sure my stamp is clean. And I am going to be stamping in Daffodil Delight. I really want to make sure it's clean. Right up here. Get a nice inking here. Let's see. Around, about 1.5 inches from the top, about a 1/2 inch in. Like so. There's my Daffodil Delight. And I'm going to add my Granny Apple Green blossom with the leaves and the splatter, and I've got a little dimensional on the ink pad, and that's going to make for a bad impression if it stays on there. So let me ink up, and let's see, I'm going to do the same as I did earlier. I'm just going to cover this up. All I want is the splatter and the leaves off of this image. And I did get a little bit more, but that's okay because we are going to be creating one big blossom of Gorgeous Grape. There's something sticky on my mat. One big blossom here. I'm going to stamp down. And you guessed it, we are fussy cutting. Look at that gorgeous flower. It's one of the distinctive stamps, so you get all that color, shading, and texture just in one inking. And we are going to fussy cut this. And you can see I'm not perfect at this. I just go quickly, following the line, going through, and I'm turning the paper with my left hand instead of turning the scissors. And I'm not leaving too much of a border. I'm coming up almost to the outline of the flower. Just like so. And let's see, I'm let's see, what else do I need to remind you of? The deadline for the paper pumpkin is coming up on the 10th. That is the safari themed set. If you want to get in on that, you need to make sure that you're subscribing by the 10th, or turn off your subscription if you don't think you're going to like the theme. We also have a new kit available this month called All Together, and I'll see if I can pull my flyer from that. A nice stamp set and die set, papers, but what's really cool is that we now have skin tone blends, and they're very, very cool, lots of different shades to create different colors of skin. All right, so there's my big blossom, and I'm going to take a dauber and dip it into the Daffodil Delight and just come right up in the center and put a little yellow center in the flower, just ever so slightly. And that's it for my coloring there. And I'm going to stamp my happy birthday greeting onto my card in Gorgeous Grape. And I'm going to stamp it in the lower right. And before I start assembling this, I am going to texturize this. I mentioned a different embossing folder. Let's see if I have it handy. This is the Subtles, and this let's see. This is the, where is my folder? It's called the Tasteful Texture 3D Embossing Folder. It's a very subtle, I'm not sure if you can see, it's right here, very subtle texture. And I'm going to run my stamped images right through. Looking for my machine. How could I lose this, right? There we go. And let me move the card. I need my platform. I'm going to put my card right into the folder, and I'm texturizing the entire layer. And just run that through real quick. There we go. And you can see, I love that texture. It's kind of like an oil canvas texture to it. Got that. Let me bring in my layers here. There's my reference card. Oh my lordy. Oh, there it is. I found it. That's how my day goes. Okay, so I've got this layer going on here. What I'm going to do next is create this little bow element. And so I'm going to bring in my ribbon that we snipped down. I'm going to bring in the Gorgeous Grape. And I need a nice big block to help hold. This is like my third hand. I'm going to hold that down there. And I'm going to wrap this and tie a bow. You can see I came to the end of the bolt. And this just creates a nice little bow with a little bit of the texture from this pretty ribbon. And I'm just using a snippet so it doesn't get too bulky. Tie a nice bow on here. I think I can get rid of that now. And come around here, straight through, and tweak it. There we go. And I'll trim up the edges in just a second. Oops. All right, let me get rid of that tape there. That was kind of nice to hold it in place for me. But now I need to get it off. There we go. All right, so then I'm going to take my ribbon scissors, if they're handy, right here, trim that down a little bit, and I'm going to trim up the other side. This is going to be secured onto the card front, like so, and I'm going to do the same as I did earlier with the seal. Let's see, maybe not. Where is my Stampin' Seal? Right here. And there's my silicone mat. And now I'm ready to go. I'm going to put it right here in the center. This will hold it in place for me. And then I'm going to bring in my nice big blossom. This is going to be popped up on dimensionals. So let's see, it's a nice big one there, all sides, and there. All right, pop this up. Oh, I have a couple more things I need to do. All right, so let me get that into position here. Removing that. Look how pretty it's coming together. Oh, I love it. Okay, now I have a little bit of foliage coming out. I'm going to take my punch, that bow punch. I'm going to punch a vellum branch, and I'm going to punch a granny apple green branch, and that gets placed onto the front, and I'm going to tuck it right underneath that blossom. So it's going to come in right like so. Let's see, right in there. And what I'm going to do is bring in, let's see if I have my pick a tool handy, and how about some mini glue dots? Where are the glue dots? Right here. And just going to pick a couple of these up to secure them right underneath the foliage there. And then also right behind my blossom here to hold on to that vellum. There we go. So next, this gets popped up to the card base with dimensionals. So these cards have a lot of dimension to them. And right through here. Again, this Flowing Flowers is one of those sets you might overlook in the catalog because it didn't have cutting tools with it. But I think it makes a really nice investment, really pretty flowers that are stunning in all kinds of colors. And it's got great sentiments. Just a note, happy birthday, sending a card instead of a text. Really sweet messages on the stamp set. So that's one of my favorites when I'm picking a stamp set, if it has the images and the words that go along with it. All right, this gets positioned right in place. I am going to have about maybe 3/8 of an inch border all the way around. And we're almost done. I am going to add my polish, my pizzazz. And this time I'm going to use the Fresh Freesia bling. I'm going to come in with some smaller ones way up at the top. A little bit bigger, coming toward the blossom. It is a gorgeous stamp set, Pam. I think you will be happy with this stamp set. The cards are beautiful and pretty simple to create. You can see we did 3 in, how long have we been stamping? Just over an hour. So really pretty stamp set. And if you get your order in by Monday, you will get the card kit to create your cards, and plus a set of the embellishments to add your pizzazz to your cards. So how pretty is that? I think it's just gorgeous. Very simple, right? So there are our 3 cards in the Flowing Flowers card class. I hope that inspires you to create your birthday cards and get them in the mail. I had 2 birthdays this week, so I'm really happy when I have my cards ready to go, and I can just pop a little gifty beverage or something in the card to celebrate somebody's day. So there you go. Oh, one more thing. Let's see. I do have it handy. So in addition to the card class, The other thing that's going on with Stampin' Up! This week, just available February 1st, is this little suite called All Together. You can see the great social commentary with the keeping together, the different skin tones that are going to be accomplished with the new blends that were just released. I have mine ready to go, and I am loving them. Tomorrow's teen card class is going to include using those blends as well. So you can see what the suite includes: the stamp set, the paper, the dies, and the skin tone blends. Altogether, the suite is $105, but that includes everything that you see, and you can also order a la carte. So if you like the stamp set, really nice for the times, and the beautiful dies, you can order just that. You can order this paper while supplies last, and the blends are going to be available. I'm sure that they will pop into the annual catalog soon, but there you go. You have 5 different sets, the light and darks. They're 2 packs, and they're $9 for each pack, so you can order those individually. I will put the link to the All Together blends and suite above this class as well. If you want to join in on the class and creating these cards, there's our host code that you need to use, and you want to submit your order by Monday so that you can get the card kit to go along with it. Any $35 order gets the kit to create the cards. If you bump it up a little bit, you're going to get your embellishments and a celebration gift. And I recommend getting the Simply Marvelous paper. You can't go wrong with it. The colors in this Simply Marvelous pack are just gorgeous. You have Balmy Blue, Basic Gray, Blushing Bride, Bumblebee, Coastal Cabana, Flirty Flamingo, Gorgeous Grape, Highland Heather, Misty Moonlight, Pool Party, Smoky Slate, and So Saffron, and that's a lot. They're kind of like the 2 tones of color, the Highland Heather, Gorgeous Grape. Absolutely beautiful paper that creates great backgrounds. I've been using these papers a lot lately, so you want to get in on those. All right, there you go. There's today's class. If you have any questions or comments, post right below. I'll be addressing them. I know sometimes I don't get to all the comments during my class. The video will be available over on YouTube as well. Thank you so much for joining me. Some of you I will see tomorrow or Sunday as well. And happy crafting. Have a great weekend, guys. Thank you.